You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Albert and Jonesy in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cantina Cast. My name is Albert Padilla, and this is episode 553, our official breakdown of the full Acolyte trailer that was just released a couple days ago. It is finally here, and we're like less than 30 days away from the actual premiere episode, and there's a lot to talk about. This thing got us when we were away at Star Wars May the 4th be with you all here in Austin, and so we were like rushing to actually just see it, number one. And we finally had a chance to sit down with it, breathe, get notes down, and now we're going to break this down to the nth degree, frame by frame, and leave no stone unturned. And with me, as always, is Jonesy. Jonesy, welcome to the show. How are you doing tonight?
Have we really had time to really let it digest and break it all down?
I say that, but the truth is no, we've not, actually.
We've just been running all weekend long, yeah.
But man, there's some good stuff in here, honestly, to talk about. And what we'll do is, I was actually thinking about this. We were just on the way station, and Fred, Ed, and myself, we were talking about the footage that came out as part of the Phantom Menace release that was shown at the very end of the Phantom Menace. And you and I have had a chance to sit down with that as well. But maybe we'll talk a little bit about that. But I thought it'd be kind of cool at some point, maybe soon. I know, because we have all this time, right? But I actually kind of want to talk about that in its own space, as well as maybe kind of maybe even the Korean thing, but maybe specifically that scene itself. I mean, that scene got me more excited for the Acolyte than this trailer did. And this trailer is no slouch. Like, I enjoyed every bit of it, and it certainly got me more excited, especially getting the big reveal of the, quote, Sith. I don't know if that's really a Sith or not, but it got me more excited than that. So I feel like we need to spend some time with that scene at some point. But, time will get there. But tonight, trailer only for at least for now.
Yeah, so I know we're going to want to get right into this, so let's do our thank yous up front here. So again, thank you for everyone for coming off the live stream. We've got Music Train, Steph, Alex, and Trent so far, cantinacast.com/YouTube. If you're on the live stream or if you're watching this afterwards, please do leave us a like and leave us a comment. Let us know what you think of the Acolyte. What were your favorite moments? We'd love to get your thoughts on it and be able to respond to you there. A special thank you to all of our now part of the tribe members on Patreon: Danny, Rob, Mike, Lauren, Dante, Risk, Justin, Jackson, Sharkman, Dan, Daz, Isabella, Uncle Leon, Josh, Jacob, and Rita Reborn. And then our Delusions of Grandeur members: Rod, CJ, Alex, Steve, and Daz. Thank you all so much. If you're curious about Patreon, cantinacast.com/Patreon. We just did an awesome show with our top 3 moments from Star Wars Episode 1, Phantom Menace, and looking to do more content. We're going to do it 25 years later for Phantom Menace coming up here pretty soon as well. We were able to see the movie this morning. We'll be able to see it again here in a couple days. So we'll have lots of thoughts on that to compare our experiences from 99 all the way to today and what the movie has meant for us as Star Wars fans. So
Yeah.
pretty exciting time for us.
Yep. And we'll have to, I'm going to guess we're going to work in some Patreon episodes specifically, maybe in some factoids around the Acolyte, given what we've seen here in the last 24, 48 hours. So, all right, let's, I guess, give me kind of your maybe initial thoughts, having seen this trailer compared to the teaser. Did you feel like there was enough in here that it felt different from the teaser? Was it more, was there more material here that made you feel better about the show, or change your impression about the show going into it?
There were actually a couple of things that have started to occur to me more. So back when we got the first teaser line, not trailer, but the line from Leslie Headland and from the show description, it was talking about duality, right? And what you see isn't necessarily, you have to dig a little deeper, right? And Leslie Headland and some of the articles that have been on the StarWars.com site have been like the layer, the onion. As you peel back, you learn more about the story, you learn more about the characters. It's this whole point of view type of thing that Obi-Wan talked about 45 years ago, right? So that type of thing, when I looked at the trailer, there's some similar scenes that we thought we've seen before, but they're actually different. Like the girl running through the forest. It's actually 2 different scenes. So like, what does that mean? And we talked about the rings, right? And the O for the Acolyte, title card. Like, what does that mean? And now we're starting to see some things. And I was looking through the trailer and watching this. I'm like, I'm paying more attention to May, the main character, with a mask, without a mask, and starting to like what is there something about all of these things that make sense that we should start to look at this from a different perspective about who the good guy is and who the bad guy is. And if you remember the original description, it was a Padawan is reunited with their former master. We've not really seen that in these trailers at all. So where is that actually happening? And who is the Padawan? Or is there something else at play here that we've just not quite done? But this is getting me excited, though. I think what's going to be really cool about the Acolyte is that this appears to be very different type of Star Wars storytelling for us in the fashion of what's going to be a live action. What we're going to see, I think, from the Acolyte is more akin to what we're used to seeing in Visions, I think, which I'm actually pretty excited about. I think this is just going to be a very unique way of doing it. The Carrie Ann Moss movements, I think that was mostly from the Phantom Menace after trailer, of course. But some of those types of things, we're just seeing these very over the top type of martial arts styles, this kind of kung fu things that we grew up with, but also the direness of how the Jedi are almost desperate when they learn who the Sith is, right? Like we get Kim Jong Un, I'm getting the names all mixed up. It's late, sorry, but we get Master Son saying, "What are you?" Talking about the Sith is like, okay, that's a really good question because it's just we're so. They're just so confused because they have no idea what they're up against. I'm just rambling at this point, but
no.
Yeah. But I mean, my head just started spinning because the more content we've been getting, especially the interview with like the South Korean version of the trailer and all of that, you start piecing that together. It's just we're getting a different picture than maybe the direction we thought we were headed.
It's I hadn't considered that. We'll definitely probably touch on that. Well, we're going to have to touch on it now tonight. I think. One of the things that's probably becoming, maybe more apparent to me or something I'm really starting to appreciate is the quality of the show. Not to say that we didn't get as much in the teaser, but after seeing, again, sorry, I'm going back now to like you, I'm going to the footage that we saw after the Phantom Menace, right? Being able to see it sequenced and see it edited and put together rather than a sequence of trailers. Because, I mean, let's be honest, there's some really great trailers out there for some terrible movies. But after seeing that, pairing that up now with the full length trailer, it just feels like this is at another level more than I said this on the last show, but more than like Kenobi, more than like Ahsoka, and not to take anything away from those, but there's just something about the quality level here, whether it's the choreography in the fighting or the editing, the direction itself, the cinematography, the use of practical sets. It feels like everything is a practical set versus I don't see anything that's like glaring that looks like the volume or CG in any way, outside of course, the natural stuff you would expect to be CG. But there's something about this that feels elevated in so many ways. And so it's got me really excited. I mean, I'm looking forward to this more than I thought I would. There's been so much, we had so many announcements back when this was first announced. It was really hard for it to, or easy, I should say, for it to kind of get lost in the shuffle of everything that was coming out. We've had so many great stuff, but now that this is here, I'm getting the same kind of vibes I did with Andor. We're like, holy crap, I really want to see this in a bad way. And that extended footage just kind of nailed it, solidified it for me.
I'm really hoping this is the start now that we're a month out, now that Tales of the Empire is done. May the 4th is kind of over. I'm really hoping we're going to get a really solid build-up for this series and get a lot of momentum that goes with it, not as casual as we have been with some of the animated stuff. I hope they really do dig in on this series and really just sell the hell out of this thing. I really want to see what they can do with that build-up. I think it would be something really special. And then we also got new key art, of course, as well. A new poster, key art, whatever you'd like to call it, which, again, has some interesting elements to it.
Oh, yeah.
Why is May on there twice? She's on there twice.
She's facing both ways, light and dark, masked and unmasks.
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure just yet, but maybe through the course of breaking down this trailer, as we are going to, something will reveal itself. So, all right, so let's start with this, and again, more symbolism here. We talked about this with like the what was it, the original key art piece. We talked about that sun. It looked like it was setting kind of in the background there in the ocean. Right. Same thing here. Like this is the sun's definitely there, and it's being eclipsed by this mountain. I can't help but think there's some symbolism, right? The darkness is coming here.
Absolutely. I mean, the sun's setting on the Republic. We're still a ways away from some of that, but again, it's just beautiful as well.
And so in the audio, not audio descriptions, but the subtitles, this was listed as character named Tassie Loa.
Yeah,
I have not found anywhere where that character. And again, we've been rushed, honestly. So apologies if it's everybody else knows it and I don't. But I could not find where this character was. I don't remember this character ever being said who they were. But she comes out and says, or they come out and say, last night a Jedi was murdered, which we kind of knew, right? They said it was a murder mystery. In this scene in particular, okay, so I know this is where the analysis is really going to start. So this is very similar to where we see Carrie-Anne Moss fighting May, because it's got the wooden floors, the background looks the same. There's a scene later that we'll talk about where they show them kind of going at each other, and down behind May's character is this exact same scissors, or not, it's a dagger, I guess is what it is.
Yeah, these are daggers, yeah.
But that dagger is in the wood. And so it looks like this is the shot, only this is Carrie-Anne Moss's lightsaber. And somebody's walking away from it and pulling up the dagger. And so, I don't know, that already just makes me like... Well,
and is that the lightsaber that's on the original Acolyte
it is
trailer with the bloody lightsaber, right?
Yes, it was confirmed. Like, there was a scene in there where she kind of moved her hand back. And you can see it in this trailer, but not as clear. But someone actually took it and put them side by side. And it is Carrie-Anne Moss's character. What's her name? Indara.
Yeah, Master Indara.
So Master Indara's lightsaber. So... I don't know.
Oh boy. So she's dying in episode 1. That's basically what we're going to see.
This feeds into my theory. And here, so let me just kind of, I'll kind of crack the seal on this one. I want your thoughts on it. Again, not to put too much into the extended footage, because I do want to talk about that at some point in its own space. But the takeaway, Master Indara is an incredibly powerful Jedi. Like, to the likes of, I don't know that we've ever seen anybody on screen like this, right? The way she moves, how at peace she is throughout all of it. She's never rattled. Now, of course, May has come with daggers, and she's got a lightsaber, which is essentially bringing a knife to a gunfight. So she's probably never really feeling threatened. But just even like some of the things, like the force powers that she uses and the way she moves up a flight of stairs at one point, right? All of that to me was like, okay, they're setting the stage to say this is a very, very powerful Jedi. And if this Jedi dies in the very first episode, and even if they don't need to explain it, right? That sets the bar. Like, holy crap, there is somebody out there that was able to take out Master Indara, right? Someone says that line, and suddenly the stakes are kind of set for how threatening this person is and what really is at stake here. But I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, in some of that footage, it feels like she's a whole half second or full second ahead of the opponent of what she's blocking and anticipation. So you're right. The level of expertise of what she has, she's really coming across as the master, so calm, stoic, and just completely in control. So for her to potentially lose this fight, something has to happen. Like, something severe has to happen here. And it's really, there's nothing that really indicates in that fight that she was going to lose that battle.
No,
right? I mean, she pulled the lightsaber out just to handle the daggers that got thrown at her, because there were multiple, but other than that, nothing was really not going her way. And again, she was very defensive, but it wasn't progressing in a way that you thought she was going to make a mistake, because she was just so calm and just able to handle everything that she was throwing at her. So this is really confusing. But again, this really sets the stage. I think it sets the stakes really high too, right away. And exactly to your point, that now if a master is killed, and the last time a master is killed, we don't really know. We don't have any context around that, but that's a really big deal. And then you start to figure out or want to know why, because this seems like, at least what we're seeing in the footage, is a very targeted attack. So it's definitely personal, or there's an agenda behind it. There's got to be some reasoning behind it to where you stalk and find this master, because it looks very deliberate. And then if that's the end result, then that's a very big deal. And I think to the Jedi Council, this would be interesting to see where the series goes as a whole. We talk about where, do the Sith, do they get, swept under the rug, or is everybody killed off, or whatever it is. It's the same when you lose a master. That's a big deal. You can't hide that. So how does that play out through the rest of the series, and what's the lasting impacts of that?
Yeah. I promise I'll move on here in just a minute. But so to kind of recap where my theory, because this plays into my theory as well. My theory being that Jecki is the acolyte, first off, right? The second part of my theory is that May is not, and she's being set up, right? And so the way I could see this happening is, okay, they've already established that May was after Indara for some reason, right? And maybe they're tracking Indara because she keeps they're tracking May because she's showing up at places where murders had just happened, when really she's just trying to investigate herself, right? She's trying to figure out what's going on herself. But if suddenly the last known altercation that Indara had was with May, and then suddenly she dies, again, she's now prime suspect number one. And so they could be after her yet again for, and that's where like this trailer looks like it's going that way, right? Everybody seems to be looking at, May as kind of like the killer, as being the one that they're looking for. I mean, Master Soul even says,
Well, to be fair,
I trained her.
She's the only one attacking people too, right?
Right. That's fair too. But yeah, but Soul says, look, let me talk to her. She was my Padawan kind of thing. Right. So all that said, I think this really kind of fits really well into it. But I do suspect that Dara is going to die, which, as tragic as that may sound, probably works out for the best. Because like I said, when you see that extended footage and you see her in action, it's pretty impressive.
Well, I think as we're going to see here, as we're talking about tonight, there's a lot of flashbacks going on. So I think this is a bit of a thriller murder mystery. And so I think we're going to have this back and forth type of thing. So these characters aren't exactly you're not killing off Carrie Ann Moss in episode 1, right? You are going to have her throughout the series to establish why these relationships were important in the first place.
I think they kill her. First episode.
Well, yeah, but I think she's going to show up throughout the rest of the series.
In the flashbacks. Yeah, she'll be in the flashbacks. But
yeah, so from an actor standpoint,
yes,
she's still going to be present.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Sorry.
Yeah. No, this is kind of cool though. So the temple is a little bit different here, right? So the temple doesn't have as much built up around it. It's like that platform that extends out to the front. When you look at it from like a prequels angle, that's actually flat, like almost flat against stuff like underneath it and around the temple. So it's kind of cool to see Coruscant always evolving and maybe growing up around the temple a little bit as we go.
Yep. Let's see. There is Master Soul. There's not a whole lot going on here. I mean, we've kind of seen something similar where he's training his students. We get to see Jackie here practicing with other Padawans as well. This is all probably easy stuff until things get a little bit different. Oops, sorry, wrong screen, folks. Sorry about that. I want to ask you. So the next line of dialogue in this one. Let me see if I can get to it here. Is Manny saying the Jedi justify their galactic dominance in the name of peace, but that peace is a lie. Peace is a lie and stands out for us as Star Wars fans because it's part of the Sith code. There's been rumors that his character, Kamir, I think I don't know if that's the way you pronounce it, but there's been rumors that he is going to be one of the antagonists, or at least someone that is maybe enabling the antagonist, or could be behind this as kind of like the henchman person, if you will. But this line kind of does it for me. Like I'm like, okay, that maybe there's probably some truth in that now that I hear that.
Yeah, I mean, when you go speculative, who is the Sith? I mean, when you say things like that, your name goes really quickly towards the top of that list of,
right,
of suspects, right? So
yeah,
it's a quote that sets alarms off for folks like us and for our listeners, because we just know what that means. But I think it also speaks to something greater, that the galaxy's not always super happy with the Jedi. And I'm been listening through the Living Force right now as well, and you and Lauren have talked about this too, about perception, right? Of the perception of the Jedi as they do certain things. It's not always met with what the intent was behind it, or when they make a decision, they don't always stick around to see what the effects were, and they feel disjointed from reality. So, hearing that there's someone who has some discontent, or they have experienced something, that maybe the Jedi have done inadvertently, or have been a part of, kind of on the peripheral, and then they've not handled that well. I mean, those types of things do exist, and so that those stories come to the forefront and then start to breed discontent. And if you have special abilities and you are going down a certain path, then you have a lot of opportunity to start to explore things that are maybe a bit unnatural.
Oh, I see where you're going there. This ship is shown very quickly. It's a hyperspace shot, and we'll get to this ship here in a little bit, but it's very similar to the Jedi ships. It looks like the front of it is what, they fly around, and the back portion is what allows them to go into hyperspace. That's me speculating, of course, but
yeah, if you look at the comic books, you could see some of these ships every once in a while.
Yeah. The wings remind me of, we just saw like, where was it? Was it Darth Maul's ship that had the wings like that bent in? Yeah,
they've got kind of the tie type of look on the outside.
Right. Okay, so this is Master Soul. These next two shots are weird. Like, I'm going to play it just, it cuts, and then this shot right here seems like it's before this one, because you can see him passing these guys in the back right there. That guy is the same guy in the next shot where he's standing here. So he's already walked past him at this point. But anyway, I couldn't tell, honestly. Like, this seems like it's probably part of the Jedi temple, or maybe someplace on Coruscant. I said it looked like maybe a prison. They're behind ray shields.
It looks like
They
holding cells. Yeah.
holding cells of some sort. I don't remember the Jedi ever having like holding cells in the temple itself, but
Yeah, that's true. They at least I think even in Legends, I don't know that they had a lot of that. They would hold their own. But yeah, I think this is some sort of holding cell. I don't know if this is Coruscant police or, again, they're investigating a mystery so that they would go and, talk with contacts or explore local authorities or anyone who might have had information. While that's not necessarily special enough for Jedi, but I think they chase down every lead. So that they're going and look at the local county jail or something. I mean, it all tracks, right?
yeah, and there's somebody here, like in the foreground, like right here. You can't really see them; they're all in shadow. It's hard to tell. I don't know. Maybe Vanessa Rowe. It could be anybody. But
I
all right.
can't tell.
So this is a continuation here. This is May. She's talking to Kamir, and he's finishing that line about peace is a lie, kind of thing. He just looks kind of shady now that I see him in action, rather than that still shot that we got of him where he's kind of peeking around the side in the teaser.
Right.
I think in the teaser we had said this was likely May climbing up the side of a temple or just ruins of some sort. Is that May for you, or you think that's somebody else now?
Really tough to tell. When I blew it up, it's just too pixelated. I can't get a high enough res shot of this to be able to see. But I mean, yeah, I'll still go with May for now, just because I don't have a better option.
Yeah.
But I mean, the coat, whatever the person's wearing, it seems a little lighter than what we've seen her wear, though. So it's hard to really put.
And
any
the colors off too. Like in some shots,
Yeah.
it looks very purple, and this one it looks almost like a gray.
It's like beige gray or something. And again, really difficult to tell what this might be.
Yeah. Here's that shot I was talking about where she's kind of walking her back. And you can see the dagger is down there in the bottom left-hand corner.
Yeah.
So that shot, again, was afterwards.
This totally looks like a publicity still, though. But I mean, clearly it kind of is, because that's our thumbnail for the video. But
Right. Yeah, and and to be fair, like in the Phantom Menace footage that we saw, there is a natural place where it jumps. You can see the jump cut.
Yeah.
So there's probably some dialogue. It could be right in between here. I would imagine it like just based on the setting and where they were before the jump cut, it feels like it was right here. So this could be it. And there's probably dialogue where they're talking and she's walking her back, and then, they go at each other again.
yeah, we talked about this in the original trailer breakdown too, that these scenes, they're jumping and they don't seem very well connected in some ways of where they're at with patrons. They're very disjointed in some ways. So it'd be really interesting to see what the overall flow of this sequence is going to be.
Mm-hmm. There's a glass of blue milk there. Looks like on the counter, by the way.
Yeah, there you go.
On that table. Similar to the shot that we saw in the teaser. It's just May pulling out more daggers.
The dagger reminds me of like the it's like from a Star Wars or from a Spider-Man comic. It unravels time like in the web of whatever.
Oh, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, you got to be a Spider-Man fan, though, for that one.
Yeah, sorry.
And then here we go. So this is May throwing 4 daggers. There's 2 in that hand and 2 in this hand that she lobs over at Indara, and we get to finally see Indara pull out her lightsaber, and she hits 2 immediately on that downswing. 1, 2. You can't really see it on this, of course. And then there's 3, and then she's got her last one where she hits it with this 4. But there's, again, just so stoic the entire time. Carrie-Anne Moss plays this character is really, really exciting to see.
But it really makes you question, like, where's the dagger that goes into the floor, like that's picked up afterwards? Because when the lightsaber's just laying there, I mean, yeah, when does the other dagger come out? I'm sure she's got more than 4.
Yeah, I had a vision, like, if you watch that, there's a number of daggers she's probably thrown at this point, and this is,
right.
It's just there. But somebody's, I know people have already said, oh, this is, when you watch that footage, it's just Trinity with a lightsaber. And I'm like, what's the problem?
I'm okay with this, actually.
I don't have a problem.
I haven't actually heard anybody complain that that's a bad thing.
Well, I heard somebody complain about Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, but that's Mike Rondo. But I actually, I love Crouching Hidden Tiger, Hidden Dragon. That's really great. I mean, I everything about the choreography, it's different. I'll give him that. Like, I get what he's saying. It definitely feels different than what we've gotten, but it's no different than Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn jetpacking like down the hallway, and we never see that ever happen again, kind of thing, right? I mean, this is stuff that the Jedi could do. They were capable of this stuff, even if we never saw it. Beyond that, that was where I wanted to see it always be, and we get a little bits and pieces of that here in the Acolyte.
And I like that the errors not only costume wise and maybe the way they talk, but they feel different with fighting styles and their abilities. To your point, I think
Hmm.
that's important to distinguish and just like to really distinguish the different eras that we have and make them feel unique. That the further back we go, like we're getting into a peak era of Jedi or a more peak areas of Jedi to where they just have different abilities that we may not have been, you know, subject to yet or be aware of, where they're just at a very different elegance to how they execute them. And some of the stuff that we saw in the extended scenes, very much fitting that bill.
Yeah. Stephanie's on board. She says that's not a bad thing as far as Trinity with the lightsaber.
Yeah, and one versus CPU. The prequels had a very different fighting from the original trilogy. Exactly the point. It's very intentional. I think that's a good thing. It really helps us establish where we're at, especially for people coming in and viewing some of this content. Hey, this doesn't feel like the other ones. Like, well, yeah, this is a century before. So
Hmm. It's interesting they stuck this little scene in here, right? Kind of a mood, atmospheric scene. It's literally the sun going down yet again with clouds covering it up. I
right,
love if they continue to do this, like every once in a while, just cut to these kinds of shots to really make you. I can't think of there's a movie that did this, and I absolutely loved every time they did it, and it escapes me, and I've been thinking about it all day trying to come up with it, and I cannot remember, but it worked. It works really well. It's another level kind of thinking. All right, here's this one's interesting. So we've got Master Soul. I can't remember if he's a Jedi Knight or a Padawan. I think he's a Jedi Knight, Ford or whatever his name is.
Yord, yeah,
Yord,
yeah,
Yord Fandar.
Fandar, yeah.
It looks like something like tore a hole through the top there, and that looks like snow coming in. So I'm assuming this is in that snow scene, the snow scenes that we saw during the teaser, and there's a couple of them in here as well. But
Right.
they look very concerned about what's happened wherever they are. It looks like a Jedi base. It almost looks like the Hoth base in a little bit, the way it's constructed. But any thoughts around what this is?
No, I mean we're not really sure where. Well, we don't know all the locales that they're going or why they're going. Presumably this is all based on the unraveling the mystery and chasing clues and chasing leads and things like that of what they're going, what they're trying to find. So, but no, not a lot of speculation on where exactly this is or what it is. You do see I think the Jedi logo right above to the top of right of his head. Can you see that?
I see it. Yep, I do.
It does look like the Jedi logo, so this might be a Jedi outpost of some sorts that's
Mm,
been attacked.
it looks like that middle one. Well, I don't
Or
know,
it might be
maybe.
their ship. I mean, this might be the ship too, because we know we've got some ships that are crashing and having all sorts of stuff on the planet too. When they crash the ship and they're all trying to get out and they're trudging through the snow. So this might be the ship because we do see Jackie over there on the side as well.
Yeah, Jackie's there. I also started thinking too, like if in the background that red, that could be from the lights, but I was wondering maybe this is like a prison or it was a prison ship. I think you're right. I would probably, given some of the stuff that we saw in the teaser, this might be their ship that crashed and they're just assessing the damage or trying to figure, surprised about what they see now when they've had a chance to take a look at it. This is the next line here. I'm trying. Oh, geez, I keep doing that. I'm so sorry, guys. I got to click on one screen before I go to the next. This is the next line of dialogue where he's talking to her. Yord, or what's his name again? Sorry.
Yep, Yord.
Yep. Where is the line? I don't have it here. Oh, this is where he's saying, she was my student. I trained her. Let me be the one to bring her in. It's coming up here as well.
Well, and this is where Yord says the Jedi are being hunted. And
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yep.
Jedi are being hunted. Sorry, I lost my place.
Yep.
I was trying to jump around.
Good.
So some stuff we already knew, right? We were well aware of the fact that they were being hunted at this point.
Right.
Let's get to the next May shot. So this is more stuff from the teaser. I still don't know what the heck's going on here. I mean, she clearly pulls out a dagger. We talked about this when we broke this down, but this guy doesn't even move.
Right.
So is he, like catatonic? Is he
In stasis. Yeah,
stasis of some sort?
I mean, that's the weirdest meditation as well. Yeah, it's very curious. I mean, she's wasting no time though. She's going right at it. But like you said, this is pretty close to the same footage we had previously.
And I can't tell, like, if it's because of the way it was cut or she's pulling her punch. She's pulling the strike. Like, you can see it, and you can't see it because I'm going frame by frame, but when you watch it in full speed, she comes up short. So, like, I don't think she follows through. And again, I can't tell if that's because it's the edit or because she's just trying to evoke some kind of emotion or reaction from him and nothing.
Right.
So she stops.
or someone's using the Force to stop her.
Oh, that's a good one too. Maybe. Yeah, there's no
Yeah, because
sound effect.
it seems like she stops like a foot short, right?
Yep. Somebody, maybe that person stopped her. Wouldn't that be something? Even though he's in a stasis or a trance of some sort, that'd be kind of cool. This is ominous. Lightsaber. I'm assuming this is around or after the battle with the presumed Jedi, or sorry, Sith, and the top of the lightsaber has been broken, cut off.
Yeah, this looks like ash. I mean, so this looks like, ash and maybe falling in the forest, maybe some of the damage that's been done to the trees, or maybe there's been fire or something like that that's coming. And yeah, damaged lightsaber in this ground. The ground is kind of this reddish, rusty red kind of color. So very curious what this is, but yeah, not really faring well for the hero side of things.
We get a nice look here at the witches. They've got a Zabrak there, a couple of humans or other human-like characters. It looks like there's some Leku up there as well. But that, I'm assuming, is May, because this starts that whole conversation that Master of Soul says about him being the one that trained her. She's my student. I trained her. Let me be the one to bring her in. And you can kind of see her. She's peeking between two people there in that shot. And then the next shot is a flashback of sorts. And he's walked up to her.
Yeah, and I believe the Zabrak is Coral. I believe we got a name for her in some of the printed content online too. So it's been, and she comes up again with the Mother Anasea. Anasea, is that how you pronounce it?
Oh, Mother Anasea?
Anasea.
I think so. I don't know. I haven't heard of the name, honestly. But,
but this is a curious scene, though. So he's handing her a lightsaber, almost like enticing her or trying to recruit her.
I think this is it. The way I pictured this was this is the flashback scene where the Jedi had been contacted because they've acknowledged they've got a Force sensitive child in their presence, and so Soul's come down here and he's giving her the pep talk about, hey, you're going to go off to become a Jedi and we're going to help you and you'll have a laser sword and, can I hold it? Yeah, sure. You can hold it, kind of thing. That's what kids want to do, right? They want to get their hands on it. So I think this is probably part of that. I'm with you on that. It's
really curious though, because she's much older. Usually the Jedi would not approach a student like this late in their age and their development, right? They want them to be around a year old, something like that, rather than this. So I was very curious and why they brought so many Jedi with them. And of course, we get a scene here in a minute that's even more peculiar. But this is it's a really interesting scene of if this is really a recruitment type of thing, which it'd be cool they gave her a choice. Although you're giving her a lightsaber, it's like, well, yeah, of course I want to play with that thing. Except Grogu, he doesn't care about lightsabers.
No. Yeah, I'm with you. Like it feels like, she probably is too old. And, maybe they're giving Yoda more ammunition to really churn down the idea of Anakin coming into training because, this went wrong.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point. And if we've been down this path before, why would we do it again? And I don't know that we're going to go any chosen one type of territory or anything like that. But
no,
but still, that there's something unique about the kid, that there's something enticing to want to bring her in and train her. Yeah, I think is an interesting story to explore.
This is what I assume is her, that same shot, but it looks like someone's caught up with her. It actually looks like that same ship that we saw, just without the back end of it.
It's hard to tell because the middle part looks really bulky. But again, it's really difficult with the bright lights, and you're not really getting a great silhouette here.
Mm-hmm. But it looks like someone did catch up with her. I mean, they've got searchlights on her at this point. More fighting here between May and Soul.
Yep. Same stuff from the previous trailer.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing new there.
But is this also where we get that's in the Korean special. He says, "Tell me who trained you."
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. He says, "Tell me who trained you."
Right, which is an interesting question, and I know we may not want to blend this too much, but it's an interesting question of, is it directed at her? Like, who's trained her in the meantime, maybe since she left, whenever that may have been, or is it being directed at somebody else? That's been a bit of misdirection. But if it's directed at her, it kind of leads us to believe that she's probably been away from the Jedi for a while, for a number of years, not just a year or something like that.
Yeah, I think in my theory was she, at least from the teasers, that she ran away at a very young age, probably accused for something that she didn't do. She was a child. She was scared. She ran off, never got her full training. And then when she finally shows up in the present time, she's like really good, going toe to toe with, of course, Indira, excuse me, or showing how well she can fight with Master Soul. This is the first time they've seen each other since then, and he's really questioning, like, there's no way I trained you like this. You got training from someone else, right? And that could be someone very innocent. There's a lot of possibilities there, but it continues to add to the evidence continues to build that May is kind of the primary suspect for the Acolyte, even though I don't think she is. Again, I fully believe that she's not the Acolyte. It's enough for the Jedi to continue to start, getting more evidence in their head about that. There's the starship that we've been talking about here.
Right. Yeah.
So
detaching so it can go down to the surface.
Yep. Not really sure where it's on.
Not an ice planet.
Not a nice planet.
Very green and lush, at least for the area that they're going into.
Let's see. So this is next where we get Vanessa Rowe's first line of I sense this is only a small part of a larger plan, some sort of shift to tip the scales. And either she's talking about the scales of power, or I would like to think it's more about balance. Like she's actually feeling like the shift in the balance of the Force is starting to move.
Yeah, it's a fantastic line because, I mean, everything has been so skewed towards the Jedi, at least in the open, but with all of her experience and being around so long. And what I liked in the key art poster, she does have a purple lightsaber, although it is a traditional lightsaber, not her light whip. So I'd be curious to see if that comes out or not. But it's curious though. And I think it's really great. I think it is, I'm hoping it's really a sign of the Sith, right? Of there's something, maybe it's elusive right now. Maybe they can't put their finger on it, but it does feel like, hey, there's a trend developing. If someone's hunting Jedi, that's very different than if you've got someone in the streets murdering regular civilians, right? Like that's targeted in some way. Now, that could be gangs, that could be other, it could be other groups of people too. It doesn't have to be the Sith, because why would it be the Sith at this point? But if depending on the type of attacks that are happening, and how they're accomplishing some of this, tipping the scales to slightly start to skew away from the light makes for a really interesting dialogue. Yeah.
This is, we get to see Vanessa Rowe there. By the way, Jackie's in the background there, just to kind of point that out. I don't know who that is. The other character back is that in the back is.
I'm not sure.
Not seeing them. Could just be an extra, of course.
John Moran.
Well, wouldn't that be something? No, he wouldn't. Yeah, he couldn't live that long. But I can't tell if Vanessa is talking to him in the scene or not.
They're not in the same scene. I mean, she's clearly like in the temple or something very well lit, and they're not.
Yeah. Okay. This is now the witches, I guess, here together. They're doing some kind of summoning, some kind of offering. They're going through some sort of ritual of sorts. They're doing, if you can see them, they're kind of moving their hand gestures, things around. This is stuff that we've seen Dathomir and witches do before they're casting spells. But nothing really manifests, at least not to, they cut away from it. But it ends with them all kind of sticking their hands up in the air, almost kind of like they're praying of sorts.
Right.
Not sure what's going on there. But then this guy, if these scenes are connected, which I think they are, this is finally Dean Charles Chapman's character.
Yeah, Padawan Torben.
Yeah, Padawan Torben, right. And we get to finally see him, but I don't know what's going on here with the black eyes kind of thing.
Yeah, he's definitely possessed, and the crowd seems calmer. I don't know if these are directly related.
They're not
directly
related.
Yeah, because they're like on the edge of a rock outcropping here when they're doing the dance or whatever.
Okay, so let's okay, I agree. They're not connected. Let's talk about this scene just quickly, because later on there is a scene which I think is Master Soul, and maybe it's May, I don't know, someone running in to this same area, and it's all on fire. And there's also a scene in here where it looks like there's a explosion on some kind of, I don't know what, I don't even know how to describe it. It's a building of some sort. It looked like a dam without any water around it. I don't know, but I feel like all these are related. But it sounds like somebody may have come in here and deliberately tried to hurt or kill these witches, or maybe they're targeting May for some reason. I don't know.
Well, and yeah, I mean, it might be the witches, and maybe they blame the Jedi later on. And again, when we see May running through the burning forest, are they related to these scenes and to these, these flashback eras are more in line with this, to where they're all, they all be stitched together in some way. And maybe that creates discontent between this sect of witches or whatever they might end up being in more like detail versus the Jedi. Maybe there's already conflict there in the beginning because, again, we know from other High Republic material that the Jedi and other Force groups don't necessarily all agree on the way that the Force should be used or what the principles are, any of those type of things. And sometimes they do get a little bit tense, and sometimes they do lead to maybe not outright conflict or fighting or war, but there is definitely tension and conflict between them.
Contentious relationships are as a result.
Exactly. And we know with Dathomirian witches and some of those that there's even more tension than usual. So not out of the realm of possibility here, but again, something happens to spur something between these two groups. Usually that's from within. It seems to be the norm. Someone wants to create the fight, so they set the spark and it ignites the fight. So
yeah, I mean, these could be like an offshoot of the path of the open hand, which became the path of the elders. So maybe it's extension of that, or some, the next line of that group down the road. There's
I have
also
a feeling it's going to be something new, but they'll fill the backstory in here at some point, I'm sure.
There is also, if you look, you can't tell on the screen again, but if right here where I'm pointing, there is somebody that looks like a Jedi. They're wearing like a robe, and they've got a cloak on as well. So the Jedi are present, or at least it looks like the Jedi are present when this is going on.
Maybe they're interrupting a ceremony or something.
I don't know. Maybe.
And again, some of this is difficult to tell what's present versus what's past, right?
Yeah.
And of which one's which, because we seem to have the mother. We know we have the mother in the present because her and May as an adult are talking. At some point, at least they seem to be interacting, if I recall the first trailer right.
Yeah. Right.
And I believe she's still present in these flashbacks as well.
Yes.
Okay. Or at least it seems that way.
It seems that way, yeah. They don't. It feels like there is a present timeline for her and a past timeline for her.
Right. So difficult to tell aging and things like that. We're not getting a real clear indication of some of that. But yeah, so again, when each of these are doing and what their status is at that moment are very much open to interpretation right now.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about Padawan Torben. He's actually got tears in his eyes. I know it's hard to tell again on this screen, but he's definitely like swelling up with tears before his eyes go to completely black. He falls to his knees. His hands go out to his sides, almost like he's given himself up, or
he's opening himself up to whatever the message is.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
really
you have
bizarre.
Kelnaka just kind of watching there in the background too.
Is it with? I think this. Do you think this is a flash? I think this might be a flashback scene.
I believe this is a flashback.
Okay, I'm with you there. And there's somebody kind of. Here's the other thing too. There's somebody right behind him. You can see a head right in this area, and I can't. It's so low that maybe they're kneeling as well, and they're doing the same thing. I don't know. Maybe it's another Jedi.
Yeah, it's interesting that maybe it's the Padawans that are affected by whatever is going on. I wish we would be able to see if their mouths were moving in the witches here on the left side of the screen to be able to see if there was something they were chanting or doing.
They're
But they appear just to be still.
Yeah, either their paws. They're not. None of them are moving. They're
Like
all
no
still.
one. Yeah, no one in the entire scene is moving. That's the
Right.
crazy part. Like he falls to his knees and Kelnaka doesn't even respond. It doesn't react at all. So it's almost like they're all frozen and something is happening. So some sort of vision. This is kind of crazy. This is really interesting.
They know what to expect, right? So they're not phased by it. This is normal. They this is what he's going to go through.
Maybe so.
There's also people in the background. You can see them up here on the kind of the walkway.
Mm-hmm.
There's viewers up there kind of watching this little ritual thing. But yeah, I don't know what to make of this, man. It's creepy. Creepy. I imagine this might be that prison island. It's that we suspect it's a prison island. It may not be. Who knows what it is? But there's a ship that you can see parked back there. Right. I can't tell what kind of ship that is either.
Yeah, and maybe this is related to the scene where the Sith is waiting for May. It remains to be seen here, but definitely
about this scene right here.
Yeah, because they seem to have some rough similarities. We talked about this in the first trailer too. Definitely some parallels with Octo and some other scenes like that. This really hard slate rock, type of thing. But we've got a very. I'm still not sold that's the Sith. I mean, just the outfit of it seems a little too baggy, and otherwise it would go more like to the ground length, boot length. Yeah. But it doesn't seem, and the frame seems a little bit more slight. So very interested here. I don't think this is the Sith that she's meeting, though.
Yeah. This scene, you could read it a couple different ways. The fact that, you could read it as whoever this person is knows that May is coming, and so that's why she has her back turned.
Right.
You could read it as May thinking she's sneaking up on this person, and they're not. This could be where they've decided to meet, and so she's not really on her, on high senses because she's expecting May. If you wanted, they could be Jedi for all we know, or not. They don't have to be Sith. I think one theory I threw out there was that it was, and that, they were. Or maybe she's finally caught up, or, again, my theory is that she's out there on the trail, she's getting evidence, and eventually this leads her to whoever this person is, and she's not seen this person yet. And so this is the first time that she's done that. We were talking, I think, in the teaser also that you can tell that she's holding something in her hand. She's gripping it there. And I'm starting to wonder now if that's just like daggers, given how many daggers she seems to be just throwing off at any point.
Yeah, good point.
So she could be just getting ready for a potential battle if this person is going to fight her. This is a really cool shot where it looks like you can see the two ships are they're chasing each other here through what looks like a ring of crystals, whether planetary crystals or lunar crystals of some sort, but a ring of debris around a planet or moon.
Really cool shot, though.
Yeah, and the sound effects, just like you can hear
the tinkling and all
the
of that.
tinkling of it, yeah, as it's going through. It's great. And again, I don't know if this is Master Soul flying. They could be cutting this together to make it look like he is, but we're led, at least the way it's cut. I want to talk about what's around her neck.
Yeah, please do.
I don't know what it is.
This is the only frame and scene that we've seen this around her neck. All the other ones, she doesn't have anything. She has no necklace. So what could this be? I mean, it doesn't look like a kyber, at least not exposed kyber. It might be something within a case. It's definitely glowing green of sorts, or it's a very vibrant green. So I don't know. I mean, some sort of relic, or, and again, it might just be something that's never explained, kind of like Luke with the kyber crystal, right? And,
right.
But it seems like it would be, I mean, that she doesn't have it, now she does have it, does seem to be relevant, for a purpose here. So
I think they did explain Luke's crystal, by the way.
Well, but not in the movies.
Not in the movie, no.
Yeah.
They went and did it later, but sorry.
Yeah.
No, and I think, like, when I see this green, I know, again, it's probably on the nose. When I see the green, I think witches, right? So maybe it's some kind of a potion, maybe it's an antidote that she's keeping around. Why she would wear it around her neck, though, that's what's like intriguing, and for me more than anything else. Like, feels like this is something just to kind of stick in your pocket, but she wants it to be seen, so she's got it around the neck, outside of her armor too.
Right. Yeah, and again, never seen this anywhere else. So what is so important about it now? And is she talking to Master Soul here?
It's hard to tell.
It
It's
seems,
either,
or is that I can't tell with the jawline.
yeah, I can't tell if that's a jawline or if that's something over their head that's coming down. It's just, there's too much shadow going on there to really kind of discern.
It's definitely not the Jedi that's staying all still in the temple, because she had her mask on there.
Right.
So different scenes. But yeah, this
Yeah.
is interesting. And again, when she's fighting Master Soul, she's got the mask up as well. So clearly a completely disconnected sequence here.
Yeah. Good night, Alex. Old man. The other thing I was going to mention, this is also where we get the line, "It's time to face the past," is being spoken here. And then we cut over to, this is where I was talking about these explosions. That could be the area that we saw where all the witches were, just from a different angle. Or it could not. It could be completely unrelated to the explosion later. And I'll kind of come back to why I think those two are connected. Maybe not necessarily this one, but the other two I feel like are definitely connected. Here's what you're talking about, where she's kind of running through the fire. It does look like it's a different kind of kid now.
Well, it is, because this one has a hood.
Hood on.
Yeah, and then the previous trailer, she had her hair was down, and
Could it have
we
caught
see her as
fire
an
and she
adult.
just threw it off, or it was holding her back, and so she disrobed it and just kept running? We get that shot kind of thing.
I mean, it could definitely fall back as she's running, clearly. But it's just interesting that we get effectively the same shot, but very different, or with hood up and then hood down. It's just kind of a curious sequence.
Let's touch on this just quickly. They get these two lines that are snuck in here. No one is safe from the truth when you put them together. How do you interpret that? No one is safe from the truth.
Well, and again, it goes back to May's line, just it's time to face the past. So there is something that has happened, and we don't know what this might be. I don't even know what to speculate about what this might be, but you have to, at some point, the sins of the past do catch up with you and they come out. Now, sometimes that's interpretation, though. And that'll be the interesting thing with these flashbacks is if we get the Last Jedi type of effect where it's, the story kind of evolves and you get more of the full story as the season progresses and we're able to see what the full truth is. But, clearly there's something that someone's been wronged or there's at least a perceived wronging that has happened. And it seems to be centered around the witches in some way, but it seems to be very much focused around May in particular, or at least that's what they want us to believe in the trailers.
What about the idea of no one is safe from the truth? Meaning, if you like, if someone is, again, this is playing into my theory, so you can say no, but I suspected that whoever is the Sith have somehow been exposed, right? Like, there's got to be a reason why they've suddenly decided to come out and start killing people. They've been in hiding for so long, and there's got to be intent there, right? You would hope so, because they've waited this long. Why would they just do it? So what I'd come up with was, okay, well, maybe somebody's onto them, and someone knows who they are, and this is all about secrecy. It's all about maintaining their secrecy for at least another 100 years, and so they're covering up their trails as much as possible. And so when I see no one is safe from the truth is that the Sith are out there, and you're not going to be safe from knowing that. So you are a suspect. Should you come across this, should you come into evidence or be witness or hear about it, you're marked for death essentially from the Sith, because they're going to find you and get rid of you.
Yeah, and what's curious is they've sold this series as getting more of the perspective from the hiding dark side and the upcoming dark side, but really the only perspective we've had in the trailer is primarily from the Jedi point of view.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit from maybe May's and maybe a teeny tiny bit from the witches.
Yeah.
But really like 85-90% of all of this, and that's probably still being pretty conservative, is coming from the Jedi perspective. So there's a whole nother perspective that presumably we've not been exposed to yet. So is it an overeager apprentice? Is it, so that maybe they're not quite ready and they're not they know they're not quite ready to, behold the entire truth. But again, I think it's the Jedi. I mean, I think, if we want to go that route with Jedi versus Sith, the Jedi hiding that the Sith exist, could be the overall, where this phrase comes into. It's more of the overall approach of the entire series once you see it and it's all done, right? And that it goes back to Ki-Adi-Mundi's quote in The Phantom Menace of saying they've been extinct, and that truth, they might be talking about something 100 years from now, not necessarily within this, but I have a feeling it's going to be a particular instance of something that has happened or perceived wrong. That's just it's probably just cultivated and burned that fire within someone or multiple people here.
The next thing's very quick. It's kind of cool, but it's a bunch of Jedi. They look like they're on a defined walk, a path of sorts on a hill, great big hill over there, and they're being led by this little stocky looking character that's kind of just jogging very lightly ahead of them. Again, I don't know what there is to really pick out of this, but I love the shot.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And on the left, you see the tall trees, which is where we have in the previous trailer Kelnaka down there on the ground, looking like he's inspecting something within the trees in the background. I think they're also on the ledge looking over the open thing. So it all seems to me probably the same planet in the same area on this walkabout or whatever this type of pilgrimage type of thing that might be going on.
I don't see Kelnaka on there.
I don't either, so. But he might not just be part of the original the troop. They might be going to help him or something.
That's what I'm saying. I'm with you. Like they're either going to help him or they've just come back from it, whatever. But I would agree that it's probably this is where Kelnaka is probably at.
Right, because we can't tell if that's smoke or if that's fog either.
That's true. Yeah, it's hard to tell. So I think this is a flashback scene. There's Indira.
Indara, yeah.
Indira is from the High Republic. This is going to kill me. But Indara and Master Soul there with the shorter hair. But it's interesting that she like springs to life. Like
she gasps. Yeah.
She gasps. Yeah. And so, I was thinking Force sensitive, psychometry. Maybe she saw a vision of sorts. There's a light that's down there as well. You can see the light kind of illuminating her right side of her face. But something definitely startles her.
Yeah, Master Soul looks a little worse for wear. He's got a brazier on his right cheek, so they have seen some action here. So maybe it seems like she is reaching out and touching someone and maybe trying to get a life force from them or trying to read their mind or see if they're alive, or maybe she gets a vision or something pops in her head and she's having this moment of foresight. So something to that effect. maybe someone that's dying or in some, I don't know about psychometry, just because they seem unwilling to really go that route and explain it for people, which I kind of understand, but I also wish they would.
I wish they would too.
It would be great if they did. I think that'd be a fantastic way to bring some things in and keep it keep it very small, right? Keep it very specialized and just very few people that could do it. But yeah, this definitely seems like she's got some sort of foresight or force vision that's been imprinted upon her unexpectedly.
Yeah. I was thinking force healing too, but I don't know that it would kind of you would get this response from force healing unless she, was so into it and brought this person back to life or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. But either way, if they do something like that, again, that's just further proof of just how powerful Indara is. And if she were to kind of pass again, going back to what we said earlier on in the episode, for anybody that's joined us late, if she does not make it out of the first episode and we see her as this great, powerful Jedi in the past, we saw her fighting May to the likes of we've probably never seen before in Star Wars, or some of the stuff live action anyways. Again, it really sets that bar pretty high in terms of who they're dealing with the Sith.
Right.
Continuation of that, this is another. So these shots, of course, we already saw in the teaser. Don't know what's going on with the little snake groove kind of thing that she's doing when she's walking. This scene's right out of the extended footage here.
Right.
So after she's confronted Indara, there's a whole kind of fight sequence that's going on. And
yeah, May flips the table to block a blaster bolt.
Yep. I think then she kicks that table or
does something. Then she uses the force to kick it at him. Yeah.
Yeah, kick it at him. Here we see Master Soul. This is more of that Cold Planet, those scenes that we saw. And there's a sound effect here where he kind of reaches out and you can hear he's using the force here to either stop something. I imagine it's telekinesis. This is usually the gesture they make. That's usually the sound that you hear when they're doing using telekinesis of some sort. But it's really hard to predict what he's doing. You can see.
There's a yellow lightsaber in the background.
I think that's Yord's. I think he's got a yellow lightsaber. So
I believe so. Yeah, he's got a Guardian saber.
Right. So he's here as well on the planet. So that all tracks.
Yep.
Let's see. Sorry. Here's the ship tumbling. So we saw it earlier. There was two ships kind of, it looked like they were in a chase going between all the crystals. I'm assuming these are rings. That's what it looks like to me, like, again, planetary or lunar rings. But the reason why this ship is tumbling as such is in the Korean trailer or the Korean special extended footage thing they did, there's the ship that's in the back bumps this ship and sends it tumbling. And so that's how you get this scene here where it's kind of tumbling end over end.
Now, does this look like a Jedi ship, though?
Well, it doesn't look like a long beam at all. I mean, that ship's huge, and it's not a vector. It's not one of the Jedi vectors.
Yeah, it's not the tight, slender fighter form of a vector.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It could be some. I don't know. I was trying to back up to see if there's anything. Look at the wings, though, too. I don't know. This design is interesting. It's nothing like.
It's something we haven't seen before. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It falls out. It looks like it's going to go in an uncontrolled descent. And then, the next scene we have here is with Mother.
Yeah, she looks younger here to me.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Mother Anastasia looks younger. She has a very different hairstyle, and this looks to be a young May.
Young May talking to her. And this is where she's telling her destiny is not decided for you by an anonymous force. I think this is her talk to May. I'm sorry, let me back up. I think she's talking to May about, hey, kind of like what you said earlier, right? This is your decision. It's your fate. You can do whatever you want to at this point. You have to kind of make that call before they walk her out and she meets, Master Soul. Or maybe it's after she's met Master Soul, and now they've come back to kind of talk about whether or not she wants to go through with leaving to the Jedi Order.
Yeah, and the Mother might be combating some of the will of the Force type of dogma, or the preachings that sometimes we didn't meet by accident, right? We met, everything was as the Force wills it. This was fate, whatever that might be. And she just might be trying to get her to look at different perspectives of saying, look, that's not always, you don't have to subscribe to that. You can take control over your own fate and at least feel like you are following your own path. But this path is laid before you. Here's your choice. And I think to her credit, it sounds like she's letting her make that decision rather than trying to be, quote unquote, the mother and making the choice for her, given how young she is.
Yeah, and the full quote here is, if you want to pull the thread, which I assume is of destiny, it could be fate. I don't know. It's hard to tell, but if you want to pull the thread, it will change everything. Then pull it. Right. Again, your choice. Free agency here. All right, and then we get. Let me go back to where this scene, because this one is the one I love the most. So we've got binders in May's hands, right? You can kind of see them in the back. I'm assuming those are binders. I could be wrong. That's what I saw, but
kind of look like binders. Yeah,
they look like binders. And she's got her arm around Jackie, and she's got a dagger in her hand. And then the next shot is her putting that dagger right up to her throat.
She has the binder on. May does.
May does?
Yeah, May has the binder on.
She doesn't have it on here, so maybe it's just one hand. Maybe she got out.
So her left hand is on Jackie's back, and she's got it clipped on one side, but the other side of the binder is open.
Yeah, so she had them on.
Yeah, so she's not trying to put them on Jackie. It doesn't.
Right? No, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, she's not trying to put them on Jackie, but she is got her at knife, like the knife to the throat. You know, you look around here in the background, and this looks like you can see the ferns.
It looks like the jungle, yeah.
The jungle area where they meet up with the Sith. And again, I don't know if this is before or after, but it looks like the same setting to me. So again, to play into my crazy headcanon here, I had said that at some point someone was going to expose her. Like I had this whole thing about after that scene that we saw in the teaser after it blew over, you know, we get the big reveal that really Jackie is the Acolyte, and they kind of walk off, and then you have to, you know, live the rest of the series knowing that everything that she does on screen, quote, as a Jedi is all you know, smoke and mirrors and whatever for the benefit of the Sith. But I wonder if this is like that climactic moment where finally May has enough evidence. You know, she's already been wrongfully handcuffed, essentially, right? She gets out and she puts the knife up to her, and she's trying to convince everybody, like, hey, it's her. You got to believe me. It's her. And everyone's looking at her like, no, this is Jackie. You know, she's the balance, and she's the good student now, right? That Soul has taken on. And I can just see her doing all of this stuff. Maybe, again, I don't know where this falls in timeline with the Sith showing up,
right?
But that's what I got from this scene is her. If she is really the good person and everybody suspects it, why would she hold this person at knife point, you know?
Yeah, it's just really hard with the rest of the trailer. We see her attacking every other Jedi at the same time. So, and clearly with intent to kill all of them. So it's really difficult to understand what where's May coming from? In order to get to your theory, I'm having just a really hard time trying to flip that around and say, okay, how can May do all of these things and attack a Jedi Master, potentially kill her, try to kill another one in the temple, the one that's all still, and then, you know, continue to do these other things and then say, I'm not the bad guy. This other person's really the bad guy.
That's what Leslie Headland said. Everything that you see, you're not going to believe. Like everything I'm going to show you,
well, right,
it's not. You're not going to believe it, or it's going to be wrong. You think what you think. I can't remember her exact quote, but it's that, and that's kind of like that, as anyways.
Well, and yeah, and it goes back to what I said at the beginning of the show, right? Duality, right? And this is where I'm like struggling a little bit from what we're seeing on screen, and maybe where is that too obvious, right? Is it just what they want to show us? And then in the background, they keep telling us all these other things to look out for. There's also a part of me that says they're full of it because they do this stuff a lot and tell us some of these things, and it's really not as deep as what we think it might be. So I'm trying to park that a little bit just to not get to buy into too many of the theories, but also we know what they show us on screen on trailers and stuff is never 100% anyway. It's usually 60 or 70%, and that's about it. But it's really hard to understand, though, like what the duality is when she's literally trying to attack every Jedi that we come across on the screen. So what is it about this? And so this is why I'm kind of curious. Is it even just one person at this point? Are there really two kids? But again, we see the mother, you know, talking to her, it just seems to be one. So, you know, what's going on here?
Here's the next scene is the explosion scene. Handrails, by the way. Lots of handrails. I was very happy to see this on
pre-Empire. Yeah,
so this is pre-Empire when they did it right. I mean, it's an explosion, and you would think, oh, okay, yeah, kind of cool. You can't really tell. I mean, there's kind of like a tower or something up here in the top. It's really hard to discern. But
do you think this is the bottom of the dam-like structure that we saw before?
I do. But on one frame, and it's not, again, I apologize. It's not going to show up. You can see some orange, kind of like right here.
Yeah.
And above it, that's another figure. So there's actually three people that I count that are being blown up or blown out from the explosion in this. So it wasn't, you know, there's definitely going to be some casualties. How about that? And then they put this scene next to it, which, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're connected, maybe they're not. Again, it just depends on the viewpoint. But on this scene here in particular, the architecture here of this building, this wall, it's got that groove, like that
Right.
line texture to it. That's the same texture that's in that scene where we see the witches and they're all kind of praying and putting their hands up.
Okay.
And also this light source, this little thing at the top here, that's one of the lights that you see in that same scene as well. So it could be the same exact location, or it could be another location just like it. I don't know. But if we go with the theory that someone blew up this area and they're
Yep.
kind of running in, then I would think that they were after the witches of sorts. And to me, this looks like May. Like, it looks like a younger, I mean, we don't have a younger character to really go off of. You can see, you can almost make out the braids that she has. You
And
can
that
almost
looks like-
make out that robe.
It looks like Master Soul too.
Yep. And to your point, where she's running with that robe, this looks like the robe that she's got on there too. So this could
Yeah.
be that scene, that quintessential scene where, you know, for whatever reason, she gets scared and runs off.
Yeah, this is wild.
that's my
Yeah,
guess.
this is something. I mean, there's so many missing pieces in here to understand what we're trying to see. But yeah, something definitely happens with the witches, and it's creating some things. And I'm really curious how that lives, because of course they all live. So what is it that they are? I don't know what message and what narrative have they built around that possibly too. And
Yeah, I
then
don't know.
how is May reintegrated, or has she shunned all of them? You know, has she gone back to them at some point, or has she shunned all of them and kind of felt like everybody lied to her, and she, you know, struck out on her own path?
Man, you know, I was just thinking about that. We haven't seen, I mean, he calls her his Padawan. So I would think she does get to Coruscant, but we don't have anything that shows her training under Master Soul.
Right.
All the shots are him showing up, and then this, wherever this is, and she still looks like a young kid. I don't think she's like a Padawan yet.
Well, and that's what I keep coming back to. Like, it's a former Padawan that reunites with their master. And so I'm just really confused who that is, because we're struggling to see where May actually trained under them, where we've seen all of the other students in their younger ages, but we've still not seen her actually training in the temple or anything like that, like we have with Jackie and them. So that's the part that I get confused by, is like, who is the Padawan that's returned to solve this mystery? You know, and so
Yeah,
and for them to lead in with that as a show description, you know, and not to have that be kind of kicking off in the first episode or two, you know, it's peculiar. And so it's really curious where May fits into this.
You can see the lights now turned on there. So
Yep.
forgot. All right. We've seen this already. This is them all igniting their lightsabers, presumably spooked by somebody wielding a red lightsaber. And this is Master Soul. Now, here's, like, again, there's so many of these scenes where I can't really tell if they're connected, because the lighting seems to change, and the amount of, like, beat on their face is changed. Or they, you know, they're, you know, at one point there's one scene in here where Master Soul gets up and he looks like he's, you know, composed himself, and then they cut over and he looks like he's down in that same area, but now he looks like he's, you know, not. He's still kind of leaning over or hunched over. But nonetheless, I mean, this is him getting up after something. I would assume that explosion where they all got blown back, right? And he's picking up his lightsaber, he ignites it, and he stands up.
Yeah, he's looking a little worse for wear. He's definitely taking a beat.
Mm-hmm. I think in the Korean trailer, I don't know where this is at, but it's probably a little bit later. He says, "You carry a Jedi weapon, but you are no Jedi,"
Right.
Which is cool. Okay, so let me go to the big scene here. All right, so here we go. This is the Sith standing in silhouette. I love this shot. It looks, the way it's framed is awesome. But standing there in the jungle, you can just see his silhouette, and then you hear the lightsaber ignite. The sound effect for this lightsaber is unique. It's not like some of the other ones we've seen. It's got a big booming sound to it when it ignites, which is really cool. Anyone, you want to comment on this, or you want to keep going, because it's just a really cool shot more than
Yeah, it's just a cool shot. It was reminiscent of the Vader in
shot.
Rogue One.
Yes.
I mean, they clearly overlit that shot in the background, but
yeah,
still, you just get just enough of a glimpse of this character to bring that intrigue. And of course, I was not prepared for the reveal that we got either.
or maybe Vader in the cave too. Although he was more lit in that one, but it's something about the way the lightsaber ignites.
Right.
Yeah. But here's what I was talking about. Like, look at this shot here.
Yeah, it's clearly, it's not clearly anything. It's really difficult to tell where Master Soul is. He's rising again here. Lightsaber is not lit.
And that's exactly right. I'm glad you brought that up. Like, you wouldn't expect to see, maybe it's not done, but you would expect to see something lit up. I mean, hell, in Kenobi, the the lightsaber was on the ground, and I mean, they were all lit up in red and blue. That was stylistic, I'm sure, but there's no light source here. So what happened? Did he ignite it? Turn it off?
Yeah, and again, maybe this is where he got knocked around previously, or this is really tough to tell. But again, this is all in the present.
Yeah.
So all of these shots have the students, the current students, and he's got the longer hair. So these all appear to be within this jungle type of environment. So they all seem related. But again, the timing of these and what's going on are unclear because they keep jumping between, I think, before and after type of things that are happening.
Yeah. This is from the teaser, Jackie and Yord turning, presumably looking over at the Sith who's now made himself known or themselves known. And this is our first real shot of the helmet. Yeah, I don't know what to make of this. It looks like teeth, like I was talking about. I think I've said it looked like Venom mask of sorts. It's
it looks
cracked.
Like the Joker, like there's some iterations of the Joker that are like this.
Yeah. It's got the really exaggerated mouth, if you will, that kind of comes up almost near where the ears would be. But it looks more Knights of Ren than it does like past Sith Lords. And I'm taking this all the way back into the Old Republic, right? We've seen a lot of Sith Lords back then, even some of the designs. It doesn't really look like any of those.
No, it doesn't. Again, the lightsaber's not lit here either. So that we're getting a close-up of him turning, or him or her or them turning, is interesting. But you're right. The style of the helmet is I'm going to call it smooth. It doesn't have any, it's not like Vader's, right, that has very big flourishes or big cutouts. It does have a bit of that flare in the back, very much like Kylo Ren's did.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, like you were saying, the Knights of Ren type of look. And it's very medieval in style overall. What we would, very dark iron type of style, except for this really sinister, creepy mouth. There appear to be some eye slits as well.
Yep.
But they're very narrow. How do people see on these helmets?
It almost has it's got almost like a cheekbone design, like defined too. If you can see it.
It seems like it, yeah. Like there might be some sort of definition with the eye and the cheek before it gets that top row of teeth towards the back.
What do you think? Do you like the helmet?
It's creepy and very different. So I'm okay with it right now. I'll have to see how I feel about this, during the show, and to see how well it fits. It does. I could see where some people might view this as a bit comical and a little over the top and maybe cheesy. But again, if they're wanting to make themselves, this all goes back to why would the Sith want to be known now? Maybe they think they're ready, or what's the catalyst for them to come out of hiding?
Yeah.
I think is a really big question that I think we have to have answered in this one. I don't say that often where I think we need to have something answered, but I think that's an important bridge for us for 100 and really 1,000 years of content that we don't have a lot of answers for. So
yeah,
but I think overall, it's different and it's unique and it's sinister. I think it's probably freaking the Jedi out. Like what? I mean, and Master Soul says it's not a, it's not a
line
who.
right here. Yeah.
It's what are you? Right. And I presume that he's talking to this, this dark hooded figure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the next line is probably you carry a Jedi weapon, but you are no Jedi, or shortly after that. Or maybe that's the one that, is the precursor line to what are you?
Right.
All right.
And I like that it's not a who are you, it's a what are you, because I think the Jedi viewed the Sith almost as animals rather than people in many ways.
I don't know what's going on with this little bob. You see this here? He does a little, like when he attacks, he kind of does like a little bob. I don't know what it is, a little weave.
Maybe he's just shifting and you just don't see it off camera. But the lightsaber's definitely lit now, so we get the reflection.
You can see the red.
It really looks like there's a face in there, doesn't it?
Sith dances. What? Thank you for doing that. I was waiting for somebody just to acknowledge me clicking that back and forth because I thought it looked funny. He just kind of goes.
It did. I was like, I can't. Wait, this wasn't in the video.
No.
But it doesn't look like the red actually looks like a face under there.
The red.
You can actually see a forehead and an eye and a nose.
Yeah. I'm gonna make this a little jiffy and just post it tomorrow. But from this angle, honestly, this is where I think I've seen people say it looks comical, and me doing this doesn't help. But it looks like
it does not help.
It looks like it almost looks like a Jim Carrey kind of smile, where he can make his mouth real big.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you. Like I like it's different. I'll give it that at least. But I'm with you. I'm gonna wait until I see it more before I make an opinion one way or the other. I mean, I don't hate it, but
The
is it my
voice,
favorite? No,
I think
not
the
right
voice
now.
is going to be the make or break for it.
Yeah, that's true
Like,
too.
what voice did they put behind this to see? But look at the build though. So look at the build of the person. You can't really tell if it's male or female.
No.
The shoulders are a little bit slumped, but then when they raise to strike, they do get a bit more broad. And so, but again, really difficult to tell.
Skinny arms, I'll say that.
Yeah, lean arms. So yeah, it's really difficult to tell
They
here.
almost look human. Those look like human arms.
It does look like a humanoid
Look at
character here.
that
Yeah.
right there.
Yep.
I mean, the red's not doing it justice because it's kind of
But the
lighting
skin
up the
seems
arm.
Yeah, and the skin seems paler.
Pale. There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyways. One other thing I want to point out. Look at the hilt.
It's very
It's
long.
massive.
Yeah.
So it's almost like like in the is it the High Republic where they've got the broad lightsabers?
Yeah.
Like the broadsword-ish lightsabers?
Yeah.
It's similar to that, which I mean, it makes sense, right? This is the same era, but it's been a while since they're definitely not what the Jedi are running around with after the Guardian protocols, and then clearly not what they're carrying around during the prequel era.
It would be kind of cool if it was like the katana, like in Visions, like for Ronin.
Oh yeah, his was, that'd be awesome.
That would be kind of neat too. Like the really long hilt with the the guard around the top, the circle guard, just like it was in traditional cultures here. It's just it would be really neat. But yeah, this is a really long hilt.
Yeah, this is the best shot right
as
there.
as they slash across the screen here to unveil the logo.
And that's it.
And again, they keep showing this the O in the Acolyte, and then
The
it
ring.
separates slightly into two. So what does that mean? Yeah, I mean it's a ring, but still, it almost looks like two.
Mm.
A light and a dark.
Mm-hmm. Always two they are.
Yep.
All right. Well, June 4th is when all this comes out, and I'm sure between now and then we'll have more teaser footage and like TV spots, that sort of thing. But I don't think we're going to get anything else at this point. They usually don't release another like trailer. I mean, they might, but
Yeah,
usually.
imagine Variety, Hollywood Reporter, or
Yeah.
Empire magazine are going to have some huge spread for this when it comes out.
Yep.
Which again will probably be, what would that be? So June 4th, it would probably be that last week of May, something like that, when that would come out with those big spreads on all the articles. But I'm really hoping, like I said at the earlier part of the show, I really hope this is something they lean heavily into, because this is new content, new era for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And even more than like even hardcore Star Wars fans, like Star Wars fans that watch all of the stuff on Disney Plus and the movies and the TV shows and all of that, are not always the same fans that consume all of the literature and the books, right? And so those two don't always cross. Many of them do, of course, but so the High Republic is going to still be very, very, very fresh and unknown, quantity and landscape for people to navigate. So having something that will continue to bring them aboard and putting stuff out on YouTube, little character featurettes, I think would be really fantastic to learn a little bit more about the characters. I think about learning about where the Jedi are at in this stage. I think reintroducing Vernestra Rowe would be really cool too.
Mm-hmm.
But also giving us an idea of what's the conflict, what's the background about what they're finding, rather than Jedi are just showing up dead and we're pursuing it. Give us a little something more that we can sink our teeth into, just a little bit. I don't want to give too much away though, as curious as I am, because I just want to watch it and experience it. But I think giving us more to what is going on and why the stakes feel so high and why do things start to feel so wrong, I think would do a lot to entice people to watch the show.
I'm with you, and I'll take it like honestly, even those of us that watch or follow the High Republic aggressively, I think we're still going to be surprised about where the Jedi are, because we're 100 years from that, right?
Yeah.
So we don't know what has changed. So I like we're going to get some of the foundational stuff, like why they wear the robes they do and why they have the lightsabers they have, et cetera, et cetera. But those are deep cuts, and I don't know if they'll get into that. But I think there are going to be some revelations for us as far as where the Jedi are here. I mean, it'll probably be, obviously the middle ground between where they are in the prequel trilogy and where they are at the end of the High Republic, which we don't really know. Maybe we get some of that contextualized at the end of Phase 3. But you're right. It feels like it would be great for them to do that. And I hope they don't. I mean, on one hand, I want them to do it on screen because I want to see it.
Right.
But, if they do it in the interview stuff, that's probably okay. But you're right. They are probably going to have to provide some kind of background and get everybody kind of caught up on really what's going on. Because I think people will. I didn't know this for a fact. I've talked to some folks that have asked me, like, what is the Acolyte? And, what's it about? And they're coming in thinking this is the Jedi during the prequel trilogy. How come I never saw these people before? I'm like, this is not that era. This is like 150 years before that. So we're not even near there just yet, right? So I don't know. I'm not saying they're going to lose anybody. I think once this now with this trailer, and once we get the TV spots, I think this is already generating enough buzz. It looks pretty dang solid already. So they're going to get the general public. Now it's a matter of, can they keep them without getting too far into the weeds and losing them on all the minutia of what's going on, and still hooking them on the story of an era that they're not necessarily have ever been exposed to in the past.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're not going to give us too much because one of the things I'm always very cautious about is I don't like teasers and trailers that kind of lie to you. They set you up to do one thing and then they completely go a 180-degree different route, and they swap it all on you. It's one thing about leading you in a direction and then giving you some surprises along the way, but to try to flip the script entirely on you, I don't always enjoy that. When books do this stuff all the time, of course, but I hope they don't do something like that. That's the cautious part you have to do. If you're going to put more TV spots and things like that out there, I think you have to be careful to what you're selling people to make sure that it's still authentic of what is actually going to show up and be on screen. Yes, it allows for surprises and for entertaining coffee chats and what's it called, water cooler talk and stuff the next day. But at the same time, can you still do that while bringing people on board? I think there's a lot of ways you could do that, both with the print media as well as just, I think character spots are what I would probably want to see, because like the mother, right? That's a character I want to understand more about. And Jodie Turner-Smith at Celebration was very cryptic about it. The whole cast was very cryptic about everything. Everybody's terrified of their NDA, right? I mean, and probably rightfully so if they want to keep working. Like, come on, they're not going to fire these people. They're not going to fire these people. It's going to be fine. You're all right. Especially if it does well. But so I hope that they just do something right to give them a script of what they could talk about, and then some of that, and just give us something to get excited about. Give us something as hardcore fans to get casual fans excited about it. Help us be the ambassadors for the show too, and redirect people there of like, hey, this is something you might want to check out because it's kind of a fresh era of Star Wars. It's between some things. It opens your doors up for some books, but it's kind of a fresh era that we might be starting to explore here. So why not jump on the ride now? Because you're kind of been at the ground level, right? You don't have to know anything.
Right. Well, who knows a lot about the show or Star Wars?
I like where your head's at, Albert. Yeah, I like where our live stream heads at here. Yeah, we have a lot of fantastic people out in the chat. Thank you all for showing up and for throwing your thoughts in there. Music Train, Steph, Alex, Trent, One Up versus CPU, Ash, and Dwayne. If I missed anybody, not intentional. For those in the background, we certainly appreciate y'all coming out. If you're listening to this, thank you so much for the download. CantinaCast.com/YouTube if you'd like to join us on the YouTube stream, which we do twice a week. And we would certainly appreciate it if you would leave us a like and leave us a comment. Let us know what you are excited about with The Acolyte. Is there a piece that we have missed? Is there a piece of speculation that your theory trumps what we think we've heard tonight? And we'd love to hear your thoughts, and just leave us a note. Tell us what you think.
Yes. Thank you guys for joining the live feed. Thanks, Steph, for the encouragement there. She said, nice try.
Yeah, and thanks, everyone. We're on fumes tonight. It's been a very busy several days, so appreciate everyone's your patience and tolerance with us as
more
we
tolerance than patience. How about it's probably the case there. Okay, programming notes. Let's see, Thursday. Jones and I will be back, and we're going to finally get into Tales of the Empire. We're going to start off with the Barriss Offee storyline, so look for that. We've also got, let's see, next Sunday we've got the Bug. So Lauren and I are going to be covering the Bug storyline, which is about Morgan. Well, we think it's about Morgan Elsbeth. Hasn't been confirmed officially, but we're going to break that down as well. We'll have a Patreon show. And then we've got a number of other things like the Phantom Menace 25 years after. So that'll be us kind of waxing all our memories about that and talking about the more recent experience that Jonesy and I had today. We're going back and seeing. I think you and I are both going to see it this week at some point as well, right, in addition too. So we'll get a chance to kind of talk about all that. But yeah, cantinacast.com is the website. YouTube, cantinacast, youtube.com/cantinacast or cantinacast.com/YouTube. Either way, we'll get you there. Please like, subscribe, comment. And if you do comment, throw some questions in there too. We'd love to respond and answer them as much as possible. Okay. I guess if you don't have anything else.
Nope.
All right. We'll see you guys here on Thursday.
You're still listening? Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property, and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me, and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.